Good evening, YouTube. Steve here, V-Twin Racing Channel. Today, I'm going to start discussing converting an EFI Sportster. Now, in my particular application, it's an 07, which is the first year. And I think this may go to 2012 or 2014. I don't know for sure. If you guys know, drop me something in the comments. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Anyway, let's get to it. So, a little background. I have a 2007 XL 1200. I'm not sure if it was a custom, a hugger, what it was. It's a full drag bike, stretched out. It's got sport bike front end, 70-inch wheelbase. It used to be turbocharged and fuel injected, and I made a decision to convert it to a carbureted system, and I'm going to put nitrous on it. So first question would be, why would I convert this bike to a carburetor? Well, I'm a big fan of the Mikuni carburetor. I don't have anything against the S&S carburetor, excuse me, other than the fact that I've always had some difficulty with tuning them. Granted, I've never bought a brand new S&S carburetor. I've always bought them secondhand, which probably is most of my problem. I know a lot of guys successfully run them on their race bikes and on their street bikes. I've never really heard anything bad about them other than my own personal opinion, my own personal experience. But anyway, okay, so what I'm going to discuss today are several of the things that you need to consider should you decide to do this. Let's talk fuel tank, okay? It has a plate about yay big, right, with the gasket on it, and your pump and everything mounts to that. Now this thing right here came from Sporty Parts, and if you look at it, you can see it has a nice little fitting. It's threaded, whereas that other stuff wasn't. It had two ports. The stock one did, two ports, one for the wiring for the fuel pump, and then, you know, the fuel coupler, whatever that thing's called, the quick disconnect. So this is an adapter. It seats in here, and I can run a Pingle 22 millimeter. That's what this thread is right here. So I can put a Pingle, and in my case, I need a 2-port race only Pingle. Probably going to buy what they call the guzzler, because I need one port to supply the carburetor and another port to supply the nitrous system. So this adapter convert your fuel injected tank so you can run a carburetor. I got this from Sporty Parts, and it was $85.95 with North Carolina tax and shipping. It was $97.62. So that's just about $100. Okay, so other options are, you could try to graft an old style gas tank on your bike. By the time you buy one and do all this other shit and have it painted and everything else, you could just buy this for a little bit under $100 and use your existing tank that matches your paint and tins and everything, and you'll be good to go, which is what I opted to do. Okay, second thing, fuel injected Sportsters, or yeah, so in 07, fuel injected Sportsters, the intake manifold was approximately a 1/16 wider on each side. I hope I'm saying that right. If anybody here knows, please correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe that's a total of an 1/8 inch wider space between the heads than the old carbureted, say the 04 to 06 or 91 to 06. So my cylinder heads are fuel injected cylinder heads, and and I am going to send them out to have them ported, get some extensive machine work done to them, so to match a high compression 1275 kit that I'm going with on this particular engine. So anyway, this is the billet. This is the billet. This is the only company I know of, is Hammer Performance, that sells a carburetor conversion manifold for fuel injected heads. Now, you can buy 04 to 06 heads and run the 04 to 06 intake manifold. If you're sticking with the stock ignition or some aftermarket piggyback variation of that, you can buy these manifolds with a MAP sensor provision. What I'm doing is not running a MAP sensor, and I'll explain all that later. This really thick portion right here where they put their Boss or their insignia on it, this is for a 48 millimeter Mikuni, okay? So on my old OG Sportster that I bracket race, it has 42, HSR 42. This one is for an HSR 48 because of all the headwork and the large cams and all that stuff that I'm going with on this engine. Anyway, so on this thick part right here, if you look right in here, okay, where the two, where it merges, splits off rather, into these two separate ports, this is my fogger nozzle for my nitrous kit, okay? So I need to drill and tap right here. I believe it's 8th pipe. I sure hope it's 8th pipe. It looks like 8th pipe. Anyway, so this guy is going to screw in here, right here, and it's going to face, the way this thing sprays, it's going to face towards the cylinders, okay? And I'm probably going to have to buy some -3 90s to come around this way, because I can't go straight up because it'll hit the gas tank. So I have to come around. I would like to say I could put it in the bottom, but then you know, your cylinders, you don't have much room there. So I'm going to put it on top and put some 90s on it. This intake manifold and my configuration, now the price changes based on options, okay? So if you're going with a basic, they do not make this manifold to fit an S&S carburetor. They make it to fit a Mikuni or a CV40, which is your stock carburetor on a 1200, okay? Your stock Harley carburetor is a CV40. You can basically buy this intake for $190 for a CV40 or a smaller HSR Mikuni, like a 42 on a stock 1200. And but with my options, with the 48 and the finishing, this thing is total $245. So my options were about $55 on top of the base cost of this thing. I also opted to buy, because I don't, you know, my OG bike has a S&S intake manifold with a 2-bolt flange, and I bought a rubber boot with a 2-bolt flange to mount my carburetor. Well, on this particular one, it doesn't have that provision, so I had to buy this dude. What this does is it goes against the breather bolts on the heads, and this is the Mikuni carburetor adapter to a stock Harley air filter, okay? So this right here is a S&S velocity stack. It's made for an S&S carburetor. When you try to line it up with stock Harley air filters, 2 of the 3, you can see right there, the 2 of the 3 will line up, the 3rd one will not. I don't know, I may try to make an adapter plate to adapt this velocity stack, because you can't buy a velocity stack like this that bolts to a Harley air cleaner. I can't find one. All these, and this thing here, I've had this for, hell, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, and I paid like 90 bucks for it. So I'm gonna figure out a way to use this thing. So there's that. And I'm not running an air filter on this bike because it's, like I said, it's an off-road, it's a drag bike. Okay. Last thing we're going to talk about today, and again, like I said, this is just an initial discussion about some of the things you're going to run into. I'm going to run a standalone ignition on this bike, and the reason for that is I like the Dyna 2000i. I like the fact that I can trigger a ignition retard with a signal wire. I know there are other ignitions available if you want to leave the original wiring on your EFI Sportster. I'm sure there are options, but the option I'm going with on this particular deal is a standalone, which if you guys look at earlier Sportsters, the number, I hope I say it's number 2 cam, has the comes through the cover here, and it has a little notch, and then it's threaded for a bolt to bolt that little drum on there with the cutout in it that picks up your signal. So the problem with this cover here is the casting number is 2522-89. Okay, so what I have a problem with here is on my 07 Sportster, it has an oiling circuit here, and it has an oiling circuit here as well. Okay, so this cover will not oil the top end. It will not oil the push rods, the lifters, the rocker arms, the valve springs. It will not oil the top end of the engine. It will oil the pinion shaft, which in turn oils the rods and everything else, but it does not have the provisions for that revised oiling on that 2007 engine. So I have to buy, and I'm sorry to say I don't have an example to show you guys, but here's an early style gasket. Okay, again, the later model ones have, you know, here and here, they're gonna have oil passages here and here. So what I have to do, and there are several companies that sell aftermarket or replica covers, but unfortunately they're out of stock. So you have to buy, if you want to run an ignition system, a standalone, you can run Ultima, you can run a Dyna, you can run, I can't remember the name. There's a third one, I can't remember the name of it. I saw a video, a guy, if you do a search on YouTube, it's called standalone ignition or something on a 04 and up Sportster. So I have to find a cam cover from a 2000 to a 2003. So the search is on for that. Whatever that may cost me, I don't know. But right now I am $400 and some deep. Just converting this bike to a carburetor. I haven't purchased a carburetor yet, which the 48 is going to be $400 and some. So that'd be $800. I find a cover, it could be anywhere from $100 to $400. It could be $12. Depends on how, you know, what you're doing with the bike. If you're just riding it, then you could probably get by with some kind of piggyback ignition system. Honestly, by 2007, the ignition or the fuel injection on these bikes was really good. The Delphi system was really good. They were pretty trouble-free. So, you know, if you're dead set on putting a carburetor on a bike, I know they are, to me, if you're riding it on the street, they feel more organic with a carburetor on them. They feel more like a Harley Davidson. They don't have that funny idle to them like I like to call it a Honda Davidson. But anyway, stay tuned, y'all, because there'll be a part 2 to this coming up. I'll get into it further as some of my parts come in. And like I said, I am looking for a 2000 to 2003 cam cover. If y'all got one, hit me up. If you know where I can find one, I've been all over eBay looking. It's almost looking like I'm gonna have to buy an entire bike just to get the damn cover off of it. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button. It's free, it doesn't cost a thing. Subscribe if you like what you're watching. You can go back and check out some of my other videos on this bike. Like I said, it was turbocharged. I do have that kit for sale. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your support. Have a good evening.